A little bit of a switch up here. I was supposed to be going live with the 27th of April game, which was going to be the Cleveland Forest Citys at the Boston Red Stockings. I was an idiot and I clicked advanced or finish day thinking it would take me to the game. It's not the team I manage in this save, so it just simmed the game. I didn't even look at the box score. Uh, the Cleveland Forest Citys did. Who won? Cleveland Forest Citys did. They beat the Boston Red Stockings. So Cleveland actually comes into this game 2-2 now against us. It's actually one of the teams that. It's actually the team I manage, which is the Rockford Forest Citys. So it's the Forest Citys derby, if you would. But yes, Rockford is the team that I manage, or that I will be managing to start the save. And Cleveland is in town. So 2-2 Cleveland Forest Citys at 0-1 Rockford Forest Citys is going to be tonight's match instead. It's the 28th of April, 1871. And we're going to go over the starting lineup for you guys here. So how are you today anyways, Big Wise One? I'm doing good. I've had a bit of a struggle the last 3 nights, really since Saturday night, with sleep and my body's all out of whack. But outside of that, I'm doing quite good. How are you, man? Aside from the fly problems you have, how are you? You let me know. And in the meantime, I'm going to run off the starting lineup for the Cleveland Forest Citys. Batting first, center fielder Dave Egler. As you may have noticed, I never do well on sleep. Yeah, that's fair, actually, yeah. I've been in your stream when it's like 8 o'clock at night in here, and I'm like, why are you still live? On a school night. On a school night, crack. Batting second is the left fielder Fred Cohn. Batting third will be... Oh, my God, the Phils have already scored. The game just started. Batting third will be catcher Deacon White. Batting fourth is pitcher Al Spalding. Batting fifth, the shortstop Chick Fulmer. Batting sixth is the second baseman William Johnson. Batting seventh is first baseman Denny Mack. Batting eighth is the right fielder John Glenn. And batting ninth is the third baseman Francis Abercrombie. For the Rockford Forest Citys, batting first is third baseman Cap Anson. Batting second, the left fielder George Hall. Batting third, the second baseman Ross Barnes. Batting fourth is the right fielder Lip Pike. Batting fifth is the catcher Doug Allison. Batting sixth, first baseman Joe Start. Batting seventh, center fielder George Bird. Batting eighth, shortstop George Wright. And batting ninth, pitcher Dick McBride. My moods have been all over the place, hitting the point where I question life, the universe, of what's the point, and then I go back to war with the fly. Nice. Nice. How are the players' forms? We've had a few trades, actually, so some of these players haven't played yet because we've actually managed to do some trade. I did a lot of trading, actually, after the first game. I should have recorded it. I didn't record it. But the forms, they're okay. I mean, we're 1 game into the season. So, the season's only 32 games, which is very short for baseball. But we're 1 game in, so I'm not like in panic mode or anything like that over players' forms. So, anyway, let's get into it, shall we? So, leading off is center fielder Dave Egler. Is there a position in baseball where it's dangerous to trade them because if they play bad, they'll tank the whole squad? Not really. I would say that's going to be lined into. That's a first pitch base hit. What a lovely way to start. We've given up a base hit in the first pitch of the first pitch, and we've given up a base hit. That is Dave Egler aboard with a single to start the game. Every position's pretty key, I would say, you know. You got to have good defense. You got to have good offense. So I'm a little bit worried about Cap Anson there in third base because you see his defense rating is very poor. So he's susceptible to a lot of errors. The rest of them are okay. But we have a really great catcher in Doug Allison. So I would say probably the most important infield positions are your shortstop and your second base. First base is probably the least important position in on the field. Shortstop and second base are pretty, and catcher, really. You need a good catcher. But definitely shortstop and second base. They make most of the plays. So, right. That'll bring up Fred Cohn. He is 6 for 18 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. That is down low for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. He attempted the bunt, but he pulls the bunt back. It's a ball. 2-0. 2-0 pitch is in there for a called strike, and it is 2-1. I did as a kid, yeah, for 4 years. I was oddly enough a shortstop. And then I quit to play video games. 2-1 pitch is in low for a ball. 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch. That's grounded over. That's grounded foul. Here's the 3-2 pitch. That's lined right at the first baseman. Did he get both? He got the first out, but he didn't step on the bag quickly enough, so it's just going to be the 1 out. Good play, though. Right, that'll bring up Deacon White, the catcher. He's 6 for 21 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. That's inside for a ball, 1-0. Yeah, played shortstop. I don't think we've had one. I don't think we've had a home run yet. I couldn't tell. I have to wait until we're. Actually, hold on. 0-4. George Hall is 5 at-bats, no home run. We've seen a home run so far. We have seen it in the games we've commentated. I don't think I've scored it, though. No. We've not had a home run. Right. Here's the 1-0. Grounded over to the second baseman. Over to second in time, and that's the second out of the inning. So they get the leadoff runner. 4-6. That Carolina Hurricanes Florida Panthers game, by the way, that is, I'm pretty sure, that's game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final. So that's one to keep an eye on. Anyway, here is Al Spalding, the pitcher. He is 5 for 14 so far this season with 1 RBI. Swung on. That's grounded over to the first baseman. And he will take it back there himself, and that will retire the side. Joe Start unassisted there. No runs, 1 hit. They leave 1 aboard. We go to the bottom of the first, and there is no score. Due up first will be third baseman Cap Anson. Al Spalding on the mound. Here's the first pitch. Spalding 1-2, and that's ball 1 outside. Here's the 1-0. In there for a called strike. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Check swing, but it's down low. He didn't go, and it's a ball. 2-1 now. Here's the 2-1 count. That's down low for a ball. 3-1. The count runs full. 3-1 here. Here's the pitch. That's on the inside corner for a strike. It is 3-2. Full count. Here's the pitch. That's lined back up the middle. That'll be a base hit for Cap Anson. He's aboard. Let's go, Cap. I should make Cap Anson the captain and be like, then we can call him Cap, and it has a double entendre, a double meaning there. Right. Deacon White's got a hell of an arm. A 58 for his catcher arm. Back then, that's very good. So, Cap's not going to be stealing anytime soon. That'll bring up George Hall, left fielder. Here's the first pitch to George Hall. That's inside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Throw over to first, and he's back in time. 1-1 pitch is on the outside corner for a strike. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. In there for a called strike. It's 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Swung on, foul. The 1-2 pitch outside, ball 2. Counts even 2-2. Here's the pitch. Oh, no, throw over to first, and the runner's back safely. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, that's grounded, foul. 2-2 pitch. That is down low below the knees, ball 3. Here's the 3-2. That's chop foul. The full count pitch. That's swung on, grounded over to the second baseman. Over to second for 1, and that'll be the lead runner. 4-6 on the put out. So that goes down as a fielder's choice. That's going to bring up Ross Barnes. Barnes 1 for 5 in his opening game. Here's the first pitch. Throw over to first. Back in time. First pitch is outside. Oh, it's a pass ball. It deflects off the catcher. And George Hall goes to second off the pass ball. I just happened to click back. I love that you're doing this. What's up, Cookie Jar Bandits? Welcome in, man. So, I take it you're also an OOTP player as well. Here's Ross Barnes. He's 1 for 5 so far this season. Second baseman. Runner on second. It's an 0-1 count. I just introduced him like he's coming up to bat, but he's already got a pitch under his belt. Here's the 1-0. That's inside for a ball. 2-0 now to Ross Barnes. The 2-0 pitch incoming, and that's taken below the knees for a ball. 3-0 to Ross Barnes. Here's the pitch. That's below the knees. He's walked him on 4 straight pitches. And that's a second base runner for Rockford here in the bottom of the first. Let me know what you're playing. If you're playing OOTP, Cookie Jar, let me know who you're playing as or what you're playing as or what your save is, right? I keep saying what your save is because that's an FM term, but OOTP is basically like Football Manager, you know what I mean? So just for baseball, and it's phenomenal. This is my first out of the park baseball game, and I'm absolutely loving every minute of it. So even the offline save I'm playing, which I've actually made it to, I think I'm about 25 games into the 1872 season in that one. That's been really enjoyable as well. Right. Lip Pike is the next batter. He's the right fielder. And that's 2 on, 1 out. Let's go. By the way, for you guys, Cookie Jar and the rest of you, if I'm looking down a lot, it's because I'm actually scoring the game as well. By the way, so I'm looking down to look at the scorebook. I'm going to do a pro wrestling simulator in the near future. Do you think it sounds more interesting in Crack Attack Central, CACW, or WWE Save, where I would go from this period thinking after Sunday Night Main Event? Do either sound? Both sound interesting. The CACW a little more. Pro Wrestling Sim's freaking great by the way. Yeah, Cookie Jar Bandits is a really good username actually. Here's the first pitch to Lip Pike. That's inside for the called strike. And it is 0-1 to Pike. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Taken outside for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's low and away. Ball 2. So 2-2 taken for a called strike. It's 2-2 now. Here's the 2-2. That's down and in for a ball. It's 3-2. So another full count here. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to the first base. It's through. It's a base hit. And Lip Pike has got a single. It's 3 hits in the inning. Barnes goes to second. Hall's going to go to third. And the bases are loaded with 1 out. Shame their music isn't generation specific like this in 18+100 should be old school music on the mega systems. I mean, there is no mega system in 1871, is there? It's just really like a park that you play with. What's up, Matthew? By the way, let me give you a shout out, Crack. I forgot to give you a shout out, brother. Forgive me. Go give Crack Attack Central a follow. Is currently playing through Expedition 33. Come on now. Where are you? There you go. And also plays a lot of interesting games. And because, yeah. Like Blasphemy. Also played Path of Exile. Also plays a bit of Football Manager as well. So, that game was... Okay, good to know, I guess, right? So... but it's clipped, so it pulls your clips. I don't know what else to say. Right. Welcome in, Matthew. Bottom first, bases loaded, 1 out, and that'll bring up Doug Allison, the catcher. He is 1 for 4 so far this season. Here's the first pitch to Doug Allison. That's a called strike on the outside corner, and it's 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's taken below the knees, 1-1. The 1-1 pitch in there for a called strike. It's 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Very much inside for a ball. That's 2-2. The 2-2 swung on. That's foul. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on. Grounded over to the third baseman. Over to second for the force. So Doug Allison gets aboard on a fielder's choice. But the run will score. That's an RBI either way. Coming in to score is George Hall. And Ross Barnes is going to make it to third base. It's Lip Pike, the runner, that goes out with the force at second. But it is Rockford taking the lead here in the bottom of the first with the ground ball. That'll bring up Joe Start, the first baseman. He is yet to record a hit in his 4 plate appearances in the opening day. And here's the first pitch to Start. That's a pass ball. It goes off the pitcher. And that's going to bring Barnes home. He scores. And Allison's going to go to second. And now it's 2-0 Rockford. For those that don't know, by the way, like Crack or Matthew or anybody else that might be here, there's a difference between a passed ball and a wild pitch. If a pitcher throws a ball that's so off target, the catcher has no chance of reasonably stopping it. It's considered a wild pitch. But if the pitcher throws a regular pitch and the catcher doesn't catch it and it deflects off of him like away to the backstop, then it's called a pass ball. So it's just a scoring difference. So if you see pass ball on the text commentary on the screen, that's what it means. So it means the catcher should have stopped it. He didn't stop it. And a run, the base runner's advanced or a run is scored because of it. A wild pitch just means that the pitcher just threw way off target. Here's Joe. This is still Joe Start. Here's the 1-0. That's in there for a called strike. 0-2. And now Joe starts in a hole. Here's the 0-2 pitch. That's taken inside for a ball, 1-2. Here's the 1-2 now. Swung on, that's grounded back up the middle. It's a base hit for Joe Start. Going to third is Allison. Start gets aboard with a single. And Rockford stay alive in the inning. They got a runner 90 feet away now with 2 outs. That brings up George Bird, the center fielder. He's 2 for 4 so far this season. First pitch to Joe Bird. In there for a strike. Here's the second pitch. That's in there for strike number 2. Here's the 0-2. Swung on, grounded over to the first baseman. He will take it himself, and that will retire the side. So 2 runs on 4 hits. They leave 2 aboard. We go to the top of the second. Rockford leading Cleveland by a score of 2-0. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the second inning in 30 seconds time. Don't go anywhere. Right, welcome back. Thank you for the follow, Cookie Jar Bandits. Appreciate it. Since it was your first time chat here, Cookie Jar, just to explain, I play OOTP. I play Football Manager. I play. You're going to see at some point Rise of Nations, the old real-time strategy game. Action Taimanen is on the stream. Goddess of Victory Nikkei. Hearts of Iron. Sometimes when they want to work, I play the F1 games on stream. So it's a variety. We do a lot of variety here. I've just been hooked on OOTP recently, so that's mainly a lot of what I've been playing. This is the top of the second. Let's go to Chick Fulmer, who will lead things off. Chick is currently 2 for 13 so far this season. Here's the first pitch to Chick Fulmer, and he takes a called strike. It's 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's low and away for a ball. It is 1-1. 1-1 pitch. Low and away again. Ball 2. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's grounded foul down the first base side. That'll even account to 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, popped into center field. Going way back, way back. It's off the ground. It drops in on the warning track, and that's a leadoff double for Chick Fulmer. Cleveland looking to threaten right back. They won a wild one, what would it be, 2 days ago in the game. 16-13 over Troy. And they started the season 0-2. They've now won 2 straight. And they have a leadoff double here in the top of the second. That brings up William Johnson, the second baseman, 5 for 19 so far this season. Here's the first pitch to Johnson. That's inside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to the second baseman, on to first, and that is the first out of the inning. Fulmer does get to third base off the ground ball on the right-hand side of the field, so now Cleveland got a runner 90 feet away with just 1 out. That brings up Denny Meck, the first baseman. Denny, I always think his last name is an E as well when I say Meck. It's Denny Mack. He's batting .312 so far this season with 1 RBI. Here's the first pitch. That's taken for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's in there, called strike, 1-1. How you doing, by the way, Matthew, if you're still here? How you been, man? Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's outside for a ball, 2-1. The 2-1 pitch, that's taken for a called strike. It's 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That's high and away for ball 3. Here's the 3-2. Swung on, grounded right back up the hole. That'll score the runner. Base hit for Denny Mack. And he is aboard with an RBI single here in the top of the second. Cleveland claw one back right away. Due up next will be right fielder John Glenn. Before he went to the moon, he played baseball. He's batting .273 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. That's a called strike, 0-1. Over to second base, and just in there is going to be Denny Mack, who gets a stolen base for his efforts. And now, no balls, 1 strike. Here's the pitch. Going for third base, and he's in there. He's got 2 stolen bases. How'd he steal? My catcher has a 56 rated catcher arm, but he's let him steal second and third. I don't understand it. I don't understand that. John Glenn now has got a runner 90 feet away with just 1 out. Here comes the pitch. That's low and in for a ball, 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's grounded back up to the shortstop. Over to first in time, and that retires the runner. It's an RBI ground out for John Glenn. 4-3 on the put. And Denny Mack, on the back of 2 stolen bases, has scored the run to tie the game. I did not know. I tend not to really pay attention to anything like that. Like at all. That'll bring up third baseman Francis Abercrombie. He is currently batting .125 with 2 RBIs. Here's the first pitch. That's down low for a ball, 1-0. The 1-0 pitch in there for a called strike, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Called strike 2, and it's 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's away for a ball. Do you want to know, or should I make other conversations? If you want to tell me, but most people, when they talk about controversy, I tend to be like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't find it as controversial as they do. I have no idea what the NVIDIA stuff is. The 2-2 was lined right at the shortstop, and that is going to end the inning. So, 2 runs on 2 hits, and they leave nobody left. We go to the bottom of the second. It's 2-2 here. Right. Due up first for Rockford is shortstop George Wright. Here's the first pitch to George Wright. That's in there for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Down below the knees for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Taken for called strike. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's swung on, grounded right back up the hole. It's a base hit for George Wright to start off the bottom of the second. That brings up pitcher Dick McBride, who is 3 for 4 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. Oh, throw over to first, and that's back in time. They were playing tech reviewers to lie and say that certain chipsets had certain actions and certain AI's compatibility scale-ups that were active, said to be active or possibly active. They informed the tech tubers that if they didn't do it, they would blacklist them. Oh, so you mean kind of like how video game companies did that to all the independent reviews, kind of like Kotaku, and how Kotaku took basically got threatened to be blacklisted if they gave a bad score, or how Kotaku would refuse to give bad scores or would give good scores to games they knew were bad, because the writers were friends with people within the gaming industry. There used to be a really good website called the IGN Problem. Yeah, yes. There was it deepstate.it or something, or deepfreeze.it used to be a really good website, but it hasn't been updated in about, I don't even know if it's still online. And if it is, it hasn't been updated in about 7 years. So here's the first pitch. That's outside for a ball, 1-0. It's here's the 1-0. Called strike, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's a pitch out, and no runner is running, so it'll be a ball, 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's taken for a called strike, 2-2. IGN's a really good example of that. So here's 2-2. That's below the knees for a ball, 3-2. Here's the 3-2. And that's outside, ball 4. Dick McBride draws the walk on 6 pitches. And the Rockford Forest Citys get both the first 2 base runners aboard here in the bottom of the second. That brings up Cap Anson. He singled in the first inning. Here's the first pitch to Cap Anson, and that's in at the knees for a called strike. Is his name actually Dick, or would it be Richard? Back in the 1800s, his name would actually be Dick. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's on the outside corner for a strike, and it's 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's outside, ball 2. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, grounded over to the shortstop. Over to second for 1, and that's all they get. Cap Anson will go to first on a fielder's choice. 6-4 on the putout. That would be Dick McBride that will no longer be a base runner, and George Wright goes to third base. So runners on the corners now with just 1 out. That brings up George Hall. He reached via a fielder's choice in his first at bat. First pitch, throw over to first. Runners back safely. Here's the first pitch. That's in there for a called strike. Go on. Here's the 0-1 inside. Oh, it's a wild pitch. It's gone way off the plate. Scoring on the play will be George Wright. Going to second is going to be Cap Anson. And Rockford on the wild pitch have taken the lead. Here's the 1-1 pitch now. That's in there for a called strike, 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's in the dirt for a ball, 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, grounded over to the second baseman. On to first, in time for out number 2. Moving over to third will be Cap Anson on the play. And there is a runner on third with 2 outs. That brings up Ross Barnes. He walked in his first at bat. Here's the first pitch to Ross Barnes. That's down and away for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's below the knees for a ball. 2-0. Here's the 2-0. That's in there for a called strike. It's 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. In there, strike 2. And now that means that it counts even 2-2. Here's the pitch. Swung on, grounded over towards the first baseman. He can't get to it. And that's a single. That's an infield single for Ross Barnes. Big hit for Ross Barnes because he scores the run as well. So an RBI for Ross Barnes. Scoring the run will be Cap Anson. And Rockford have scored another 2 to push the lead back to 4-2. That'll bring up Lip Pike. He singled his first at bat. Here's the first pitch to Lip Pike. That's in there. Called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's in there for a called strike. It's 0-2. Pike is behind early here. Here's the 0-2. Swung on. That's popped up. Going into left field. Drifting foul, and it will drift foul. Here's the 1-2. That's lined deep into left field. Going back when it's the left fielder. Is it going to go? It's over the wall. Lip Pike delivers. It's the first home run for the Rockford Forest Citys. He's absolutely smashed that one. 396 feet. And that's a 2 RBI home run. That's going to score. I wrote it in the wrong damn box. You know, I've been scoring games for a long time, and I still make common errors. Still make common errors. Home run. 2 RBI and a run. That's going to score Ross Barnes as well. And a run. And there you go. 6-2 on the homer. And now that brings up Doug Allison, who grounded out. He had an RBI ground out in his first at bat. Here's the first pitch to Allison. That's in there for a called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Called strike at the knees. 0-2. And now Anson's behind as well. Or I'm sorry, Doug Allison. Here's the 0-2. That's grounded back up. It's through. It's a base hit. Not out of the inning yet is Cleveland. Another base runner for Rockford. That brings up Joe Start. He had a single his first at bat. The 71st pitch already for Al Spalding. Over to first, and the runner is back in time. Here's the first pitch. That's straight down the chute for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. He's going straight down the chute again. 0-2. Here's the pitch. That's down low for a ball. And it's gotten by the catcher. Over to second goes Doug Allison. Counts 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's down low. 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to the first baseman. Oh, he's fumbled it. And Start reaches via an error. And now Doug Allison is 90 feet away. We've batted around the order here in the second. That brings up George Bird, the center fielder. He grounded out to the first baseman his first at bat. Here's the pitch. That is a ball. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's taken down low for a ball. 2-2. Or 2-0. Here's the 2-0 pitch. In there for a called strike. 2-1. Here's the 2-1. That's taken for strike 2. And it's 2-2. 80th pitch now for Spalding coming up. Throw over to first, and the runner's back in time. Here's the pitch. Swung on. That's into left field. It's a base hit. And George Bird delivers on an RBI single. Dick McBride goes to, sorry, not Dick McBride. Joe Start goes to second. Scoring on the play is Doug Allison. And it's an RBI single for George Bird. We go around the order. We're back at George Wright now. Wright singled in his first at bat. Here's the pitch. That's in there for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's inside for a ball. It's a pass ball as well. It's nightmare fuel if you are a Cleveland Forest Citys fan. 2 runners now in scoring position, 2 out here, and what's been a very hard inning for them. Here's the 1-1 pitch that's in the dirt for a ball. 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's in there for strike 2. 2-2. Count is even. Here's the pitch from Al Spalding. Swung on, grounded over to shortstop. On to first, and the inning is finally retired. Right. 5 runs on 5 hits, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the top of the third. It is 7-2 for Rockford. Due up first for the Cleveland Forest Citys will be center fielder Dave Egler. First, we're going to take a quick 30-second break. We will be back with the top of the third in 30 seconds' time. Right, welcome back. You know what it is I've realized about streaming, by the way, and I wish other people did understand what bit rate actually does to your stream. Uh, like like you can't select 1080p as your resolution and only push a 3000 bit rate. It's just not gonna. And then play a if you're just chatting, by all means, that's totally fine. But like if you're playing like Valorant, Counter Strike, Marvel Rivals, Call of Duty, like it's gonna be ugly. It's just gonna look ugly. So right. First up is Dave Egler for the Cleveland Forest Citys. We got the ads in a minute 43, so let's see how this inning goes. First pitch is down low for a ball. We might get cut off in the middle of the inning. If we do, we'll take a pause. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's in there for a called strike. It's 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to the third baseman. On to first, and that is the first out of the inning. 5-3 on the put. And that'll bring up Fred Cone. He lined out to the first baseman, his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. Fred Cone. That's grounded foul behind home plate. 0-1 pitch now. That's chopped foul behind home plate, and it's 0-2. The 0-2 pitch taken down low for a ball. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's popped up in the infield. Shortstop's over to make the play, and that is out number 2. That'll bring up Deacon White. He grounded into a fielder's choice, his first at bat. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. It's 0-1. Here's the 0-2. Or 0-1. That's taken for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's high and away. Ball 2. The 2-1 pitch. High and away again. Ball 3. Here's the 3-1. Swung on and missed. 3-2. Full count now to Deacon White. Here's the pitch. He walked him. He took the pitch inside, and Deacon White's aboard on a 6-pitch walk. That brings up Al Spalding, who lined out to the first baseman, his first at bat. Here's the pitch. Grounded over towards the second baseman. He's let it get through. It's a base hit for Al Spalding, and there's 2 aboard now with 2 outs here in the top of the third. Here's the first pitch to Chick Fulmer. That's popped up deep into right field. Drifting foul over there. It will be foul. The ads are here. We'll take a break. Right, welcome back. Let's continue. Let's finish with this half inning. Two aboard, two out here, and it's the 0-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch. That's grounded over to the shortstop. On to second, and that will retire the side. No runs on one hit. They leave two aboard. We go to the bottom of the third. It is 7-2 for Rockford. Dude, this Florida team is looking. I know. I hope we get past the Stars. So. But, take it one round at a time, I guess. But, yeah, they're looking good, aren't they? Not good enough to beat my Oilers, though. Hey, listen. I'd love for them to do it this year, man. Two up first in the bottom of the inning is pitcher Dick McBride. 85 pitches already for Al Spalding. He's still got plenty of juice left in the tank, though. Here comes the first pitch to Dick McBride. And first pitch is in there for a strike. 0-1. I hope we do it, Matthew. I hope we do it this year. The 0-1 pitch is taken for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Below the knees. 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Called strike two, and it's 2-2. Here's the 2-2. That's high for a ball. It's 3-2. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to second base. On to first. That's the first down of the inning. 4-3 on the putout. That'll bring up Cap Aronson, who reached via a fielder's choice and singled. Here's the first pitch. That's taken far outside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's down and away for a ball, and it's 2-0. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Taken for a strike. 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. Called strike two, and it's 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That's grounded foul. We'll go again. Down low, ball three. We go to a full count. 3-2. Here's the pitch. Swung on right at the first base. It's through. It's a base hit for Cap Aronson. And the leadoff runner is aboard with a single. That'll bring up left fielder George Hall. He's 0 for 2 so far with a run. Here's the pitch. Called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's taken outside for a ball, 1-1. 1-1 pitch taken below the knees, 2-1. Throw over to first, and the runner is back in time. Here's the 2-1. That's called strike two, 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on. That's hit deep into right field. Going back on it. Is it in the gap? Is it going to go? It drops just inside, just shy of the warning track. This is going to be extra bases. It's an RBI triple as George Hall is in there with a slide. Scoring is Cap Aronson, and it's 8-2. It don't matter if it's the Panthers, Avengers, even if they go get a wand from all Avengers. Oilers in 5. Man, I hope the Oilers do it in 5. Here's Ross Barnes. First pitch. That's called strike. Oh, when he is adjudged to have swung. George Barnes He is 1 for 1 so far today with an RBI. 1-1 pitch. Inside, ball 1. Here's the 1-1. That's a called strike. It's 1-2. Matthew, it doesn't matter if you watch it from a bar against the Stars or if your team goes far. Oilers in 5. That's the best I can come up with. That's the very best I can come up with. Right. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's taken for a ball, and it's 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Out away, ball 3. And now the count's full, 3-2. Here's the 3-2 pitch. That's lined straight into the gap in left center field. That's going to be an RBI. Extra bases as well. Going into second is Ross Barnes. He's got himself an RBI double. And Rockford have opened up a 9-2 lead now. That brings Lip Pike back to the plate. He homered in his first at bat. And we've got ourselves a substitution on the mound. First pitch is a ball. Let me get the old pen out for the pitcher sub. Spalding pitches 109 pitches, and he only survives 2 1/3 inning. He gives up 11 hits in the process, and I couldn't tell you how many earned runs. We'll find out at the end of the game. Same with the strikeouts and the walks. I'll look at it at the end of the game. Frank Selman is the new pitcher. Let me just mark that he's been subbed out in the lineup. Here's the first pitch here's the 1-0 pitch. That's taken inside for a ball, 2-0. The 2-0 pitch. 2-2. Actually, it's 2-1 pitch. I double hit. I hit the 1-2 key at the same time, so I skipped the pitch like instantly. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That's outside for a ball, 3-2. Ross Barnes has made his way to third on a pass ball. And here's the full count pitch. Taken down below the knees, ball 4, and Lip Pike has walked himself aboard. That brings up Doug Allison now. He hit he's 1 for 2 with an RBI. Runners on the corners, 1 out. First pitch taken for a called strike, and it's 0-1. 0-1 pitch is down and away for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's taken for a strike. 1-2. 1-2 pitch. High and in for a ball. 2-2. 2-2 pitch. Fouled. Here's the 2-2. That's grounded over towards the shortstop. He's going to have to go first. He does in time, and that's going to score the run. Doug Allison with an RBI. Was that 6-3 on the put? Yeah, 6-3 on the put. Scoring on the play will be Ross Barnes. Lip Pike will go to second. And just like that, with an RBI ground out, it's 10-2 now. That brings up Joe Start. He's got a single and reached via an error. Here's the first pitch. That's outside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. It's a passed ball. Going to third will be Lip Pike. And now he's 90 feet away. Here's the 2-1. That's a called strike. or the 2-0, I should say, is a called strike. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's called strike 2. 2-2 now. The 2-2 pitch. That's outside, ball 3. Here's the 3-2. Swung on. That's lined deep into left, but drifted foul. 3-2 now. That's lined right at the shortstop, and that will retire the side. So 3 runs on 3 hits, and they leave 1 aboard. We go to the top of the 4th. It is 10-2 for Rockford. We're going to be back with the top of the 4th inning in 60 seconds time. Don't go anywhere. Right. We're back. So I was reading something there for a second. I was like, I'm just trying to read something. I was like, that doesn't seem correct. But then I thought about it, and it's right. Anyway, we're going to top of the 4th. Dick McBride still pitching. He's on 49 pitches so far. And first up is second baseman William Johnson. He grounded out his first at bat. Here's the pitch. It's grounded right over to the first base. It's through. Base hit for William Johnson. He's aboard. Leadoff runner for Cleveland's aboard, and they have a chance to maybe get something back here. That'll bring up Denny Mack. He stole 2 bases, had an RBI single his last at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's called on the outside corner for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's taken inside for a ball. And it's 1-1. 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's popped up into left field. Drifting foul, and it will land over there. We'll do it again. 1-2. Grounded over to the shortstop. Oh, he's flubbed it. He's absolutely flubbed it. And William Johnson will go to second. That's an error on George Wright, the shortstop. I forgot to record the error that we had. Didn't one of our guys reach via an error? Yeah. Joe Start reached via an E3. That's the first baseman. That's Denny Mack. So now I wrote that down as well. That brings up John Glenn. He had an RBI ground out his first at bat. And this one's fouled. 0-1. 0-1 pitch. That's lined right at the second baseman. He gets it. Can he go to second? And he's going to get the second out. Oh, wow. John Glenn lines right to the shortstop, and it's a double play. The shortstop, he drifted too far from the bag. It was a hit and run. He ran. Immediately to contact goes to shortstop. He cannot get back to tag the base in time. And that leaves just Denny Mack alone on first now with 2 outs for third baseman Francis Abercrombie, who also lined to the second baseman in his last at bat. Soul-crushing double play there. Here's the first pitch. That's swung on and missed. The 0-1 is low and away for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Swung on and missed. 0-2 to Francis Abercrombie. The 1-2. That's lined into left field. Still going. Is it going to stay fair? No, it just hooks foul. Here's the 1-2. That's popped up deep into shallow center. Center fielder's there. He makes the play, and that ends the inning. No runs on one hit. They leave one aboard. We go to the bottom of the fourth. It is 10-2 Rockford. Due up first for Rockford, center fielder George Bird, who's 1 for 2 with an RBI. Lined out to the first baseman and hit an RBI single. Here's the first pitch to George Bird. He'll take a strike on the inside, 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Taken at the knees and away for strike number 2. Here's the 0-2. George Bird swung on. He pops that up right outside the home plate, and the catcher is there to make the play. Deacon White on the putout, and there's one away here in the bottom of the fourth. That's going to bring up George Wright, the shortstop. He has a single and grounded out. Here's the first pitch. That's inside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Below the knees. 2-0. The 2-0 pitch. In there for a called strike. 2-1. Here's the 2-1. That's taken away for a ball. 3-1. Hitters count now. 3-1. Here's the pitch. That's lined into left field but drifted foul. 3-2 now. That's grounded in the hole. First baseman stopped it. Over to first, and safe is the call. It's an infield single for George Wright. And he's aboard with 1 out here. That brings up Dick McBride. 0 for 1 today. Here's the first pitch. That's a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. In there, called strike. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's high and away for a ball. 2-1. Here's the 2-1. That's, check swing. Did he go? First baseman umpire says no. And it will be 3-1 now. Hitters count 3-1. Here's the pitch. And that is another check swing. But he didn't go. And it's down below the knees. So it's a walk. A 5-pitch walk. Sorry. For Dick McBride, who gets aboard. Right goes the second. That brings up Cap Anson, who is 2 for 3 so far today. Here's the first pitch to Cap Anson, and that's a ball. 1-0. The 1-0 is in there for a strike. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Taken for a called strike. It's 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on over to the third baseman. Oh, that's got to be an error. It's counted as an infield single. I don't know how, but it's counting as an infield single. Wright goes to second. I'm sorry, McBride goes to second. Wright goes to third. And the bases are loaded with 1 out here in the bottom of the fourth. For George Hall, he's 1 for 3 with an RBI. Here's Hall to take the pitch. Check swing, but he didn't go, and it's a ball. 1-0. 1-0 pitch is in there for a called strike. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. In there, 1-2 George Hall, the 1-2. That's down and in for a ball. 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That's away. Ball 3. And it's a full count now to George Hall. Full count, 3-2. Here's the pitch. Swung on, and that's fouled. 7th pitch of the at-bat. Here it is. It's grounded over to the first baseman. Over to second for 1. And over to first. He's grounded into a double play. 6-3. It's a double play. And they get out of the inning, does Cleveland. No runs on 2 hits, and they leave the bases loaded. I'm sorry, they leave 1 on. We go to the was it leave the bases loaded? I don't know. They leave 2 on. Sorry, they leave 2 on. We go to the top of the 5th. It is still 10-2 for Rockford. Top of the 5th coming up in 60 seconds time. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Right. Welcome back. It's the top of the 5th. And due up first for Cleveland is going to be center fielder Dave Egler. Dave is 1 for 2 so far. And we've got the first pitch coming. Here it is. And that's taken low for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's lined into center field. That's going to be a base hit. Dave Egler's aboard with a leadoff base hit for Cleveland. That'll bring up Fred Cone, who is currently 0 for 2. He lined out to the first baseman and popped up to the third baseman. I'm sorry. He lined out to the first baseman, popped up to the shortstop. Here's the pitch. That's in there for a called strike. It's 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's a called strike 2 on the inside. Here's the 0-2. That's below the knees for a ball. 1-2. 1-2 pitch is inside. Ball 2. And the count's now even at 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on. That's popped up. And the catcher, Doug Allison, will grab it, and that's 1 away. Deacon White will step in next. He is 0 for 1 with a walk. Here's the first pitch. That's lined into right field, foul. Here's the 0-1. Taken below the knees for a ball. It's 1-1. 1-1 pitch. That's high. Ball 2. 2-1 pitch is taken away for a ball. 3-1. And it's 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch. That's popped up into left field. Drifting foul. And it does. Don't know why they don't catch the foul balls in this game. In this year, at least. It is a full count, 3-2. Here's the pitch. Swung on, lined into right field. Is it going to stay fair? No, it just drifts foul. We do it again. Seventh pitch of the at-bat. Here it is. Grounded over to the first baseman. On to second for one. And they cannot get back for the second one. So Deacon White is aboard on a fielder's choice. 3-4 fielder's choice. No, 3-6. The shortstop came over there for that one. So it's an FC 3-6. That brings up Frank Selman. I wrote he came in the fifth. He didn't come in the fifth. He came in the third. Right. 1 on, 2 out here. Here's the first pitch. That's lined into left field. That's a base hit. And that's going to be a double for Frank Selman here in the fifth. He's got a... that's a really well-hit double. It's going to bring Deacon White over to third base. And now 2 runners in scoring position with 2 outs. That brings up Chick Fulmer, the shortstop. He is 1 for 2 with a double so far today. Here's the first pitch. That's inside for a ball, 1-0. I'm sorry. Well, the 1-0 pitch was a ball, 1-2. I alt-tabbed. I don't know why I'm not really hearing a ton of sound. No ambient sound, at least, which is odd. But here's the 2-0. That's lined into right field, right at the right fielder, and that is going to retire the side. So, no runs on 2 hits, and they leave 2 stranded. We go to the bottom of the fifth. It is still 10-2 for Rockford. Due up first for the Rockford Forest Citys will be second baseman Ross Barnes. He is 2 for 2 so far today with 2 RBIs. Right, first pitch to Ross Barnes. Below the knees for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Called strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Below the knees, ball 2. Here's the 2-2. And that's taken inside for a ball. 3-1. Hitters count. 3-1. That's grounded over towards the shortstop. On to first, in time to retire Barnes. Next up will be Lip Pike. He's 1 for 2. He's 2 for 2 with a home run and 2 RBIs. Also walked his last at bat. Here's the first pitch to Pike. That's a called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Taken right at the knees for a strike, and it is 0-2 to Lip Pike. Here's Pike. 0-2. He flies this into right field. That's in the gap, and Pike has got himself a double. No, he's going for a triple, and Pike is in with a triple. Pike has a triple, and he is now just a double away from completing the cycle. That brings up Doug Allison, the catcher. He is currently 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Here's the first pitch. That's taken for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Called strike, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Oh, it's a passed ball, and Pike is going to come in and he's going to score. Pike scores on the passed ball. And that makes it 11-2. Here's the 2-1. Called strike on the inside part of the plate. And now the count's even at 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded towards the hole. First baseman's got it over to first, and he's not in time. It's not in time. Doug Allison is aboard. Mack couldn't get the ball over to the pitcher in time. And that means it's an infield single for Doug Allison. He's aboard. Here's the first pitch to Joe Start, who is 1 for 3 so far today. And that is inside for a ball, 1-0. And that pitch is taken out for a strike. It's 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. It's a wild pitch. Going to second is Doug Allison. And it is 1-2 now. Here's the pitch. Taken away for a ball, 3-1. The 3-1 pitch. That's foul. Here's the full count now. That's lined right back up the middle. Over to first. In time. Out number 2. That gets Allison over to third base. And now there's a runner 90 feet away with 2 outs. 2 up next, George Bird. 1 for 3 with an RBI. First pitch to Bird. I'm sorry, he's 1 for 4. He's 2 for 4 with an RBI. No. George Bird. I have him at 1. It says he has 1 hit and 4 at bats. When did George Bird bat again? He didn't bat again. I have him 1 for 3. I lined out to the first baseman in the first inning. He had an RBI single in the second. Then he popped up in the third inning, or in the fourth inning. He didn't bat in the third inning. I don't know. I don't know why it's counting him as. Yeah, it's 1 for 3 today. It says down there on the bottom. What is going on? Anyway. Maybe I misread it. It was like 1 for 4 versus right-handed pitchers or something like that. And anyway, here's the pitch. That's inside for a ball, 2-0. 2-0 pitch. Called strike, and it's 2-1. Here's the 2-1. Called strike 2. 2-2 now. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That's inside, ball 3. And the count is full. Here's the payoff pitch. That's lined right at the second baseman. And that will retire the side. So 1 run on 2 hits, and they leave 1 aboard. We go to the top of the 6th. It's 11-2 for Rockford. We'll be back with that top of the 6th in 60 seconds time. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Top of the 6th. And due up first for Cleveland will be second baseman William Johnson. He is 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out. 80 pitches through 5 for Dick McBride. Here's the first pitch. That's popped up. And that is the first out of the inning. I'm sorry. I put U5. That should be P5. P5. That brings up Denny Mack. 2 stolen bases and an RBI. He's 1 for 2. First pitch is low for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Taken outside, ball 2. 2-0. Swung on and missed. Here's the 2-1 now. Taken inside for a ball, 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch. And he's walked him. He walked him on 5 pitches. And Denny Mack is aboard. That will bring up right fielder John Glenn. He's 0 for 2 with an RBI. Here's the first pitch to Glenn. And going for the steal is Mack, and he's in there with a stolen base. Here's the 1-0. That's ball 2. 2-0. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Swung on, lined into right field. That's going to be a base hit. And Glenn is aboard. That moves Denny Mack over to third base, and now runners on the corners with 1 out here. That brings up third baseman Francis Abercrombie, who is 0 for 2 so far today. First pitch is a ball. 1-0. Abercrombie batting .111 so far this season. Here's the 1-1. That's called strike. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's lined into left field. Is it going to drift foul? It is. It's foul. Right. 1-2 pitch to Francis Abercrombie. It's inside for a ball. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, grounded over to the second baseman. Over to second for 1. And back on to first for the double play. 4-6-3 double play. And they get out of the inning. No runs on 1 hit. And they leave 1 aboard. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It is 11-2 for Rockford. Due up first for the Rockford Forest Citys, shortstop George Wright. He is 2 for 3 so far with 2 singles. Here's the first pitch to, it's a check swing, but it's a ball. And 2-0 to George Wright. Here's the 2-0. In there for a called strike. It's 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. Called strike 2. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Inside. Ball 3. And now the full count. Here's the payoff pitch. Swung on, grounded over to the third baseman. On to first. That's the first down of the inning. That brings up pitcher Dick McBride. He's 0 for 1 with 2 walks. Here is the first pitch. Called strike. The 0-1 taken below the knees for a ball. The 1-1 pitch. That's in there for a strike, and it's 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Swung on. That's back up through the hole, and that's a base hit. Dick McBride is aboard here in the 6th. That brings up Cap Anson. He is 3 for 4 so far today. Here's the pitch. That's a ball. It's 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Taken for a strike. 1-1. 1-1 pitch is, I think that missed low. It's 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Cap grounds it foul. Here's the 1-2. That's popped up to the shortstop. And that'll be the second out of the inning. That brings up George Hall. He is currently 1 for 4 with an RBI triple. Here's the first pitch. That's away for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Check swing, but a ball. 2-0. The 2-0 taken for a strike. It's 2-1. Here's the 2-1. Oh, he's hit him. George Hall's been hit by the pitch. That moves him to first. Dick McBride goes to second. And that brings up Ross Barnes, who's 2 for 3 with a pair of RBIs. First pitch to Barnes is a strike, 0-1. Barnes takes strike 2. It's 0-2 to Ross Barnes. Here's the pitch. That's foul. Here's the 0-2. Swung on, lined deep into left center. That's going to go to the gap, and that's going to score runs. Ross Barnes, how many is it is the question. He's going for third base, and he's in there with a triple, and Ross Barnes has scored a 2 RBI triple to extend the lead for Rockford. That brings up Lip Pike, who is 3 for 3, and he needs a double to complete the cycle. First pitch inside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's outside for a ball. It's 2-0. The 2-0 pitch, ball 3. Here's the 3-0 pitch. Called strike. It's 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch. That's lined deep into center, or right into center, and right at the center fielder, and that will retire the side. 2 runs on 2 hits, and they leave 1 aboard. We go to the top of the 7th. It is 13-2 Rockford. Due up first for the Cleveland Forest Citys, pitcher Frank Selman. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with the top of that 7th inning in 30 seconds time. Don't go anywhere. Right, we're back. There is going to be a substitution. Did I mess up? Why is... Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. It's not Frank Selman. He's batting fourth. It's Dave Egler. My bad. Dave Egler's due up first. I was confused there for a second, and it's my own fault. Right. Dave Egler leads off this seventh inning. That's a check swing with a ball. Egler is 2 for 3, 2 singles. Here's the 1-0. Swung on. That's popped up into center field. Deep into center field. And out there to make the play is George Bird. And that'll retire Egler for the first out of the seventh. Fred Cohn will be the next batter. He is 0 for 3. He's popped up twice and lined out once. First pitch to Cohn. That's taken for a strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Outside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Grounded foul. The 1-2. Outside, ball 2. The 2-2 pitch. That's popped up back behind the screens. Here's the 2-2. Grounded foul. Seventh pitch of the at-bat. Here it is. Taken low for a ball. And the count's full. 3-2. Grounded over to shortstop. On to first. Not. Oh, he did get him. He got him. It looked like he might get there, but umpire says out is the call, and Fred Cohn is retired. That brings up Deacon White, the catcher. He is 0 for 2 with a walk. First pitch to Deacon White. Swung on and missed, and it's 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Grounded foul. 0-2. 0-2 pitch. Check swing, third baseman. Umpire says no. And that is 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's down low for a ball, and it's 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Swung on and missed. He struck him out, and that retires the side. No runs, no hits, nobody left. We go to the bottom of the seventh, and it's 13-2 for Rockford. And you know what that means. It's time for the seventh inning stretch here in Rockford. Enjoy the Time Old Classic. Take me out to the ball game. You heard him, play ball, and that's exactly what we're back here to do. Bottom of the 7th here in Rockford. Home team, the Rockford Forest Citys, leading the Cleveland Forest Citys by a score of 13-2. And first up here in the bottom of the 7th will be catcher Doug Allison. He is currently 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Frank Selman, we have a pitching change as well. We had a pitching change. We're going to be using, looks like a position player maybe. And let me do, was the 7th? Out in the 7th? Out 7th. So, Ed Bevins is going to be the new pitcher. Ed Bevins, positional player. Frank Selman just out of gas. He went 4 2/3 innings. He had 97 pitches. Surrendered 6 hits in the process. We'll do the rest of the stats after the game. Right, on to Allison. First pitch to Doug Allison. That swung on, popped up right behind home plate, and making the play there is Deacon White. Allison's retired. That brings up Joe Start. He is 1 for 4 today. And first pitch is down low for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Called strike, 1-1. 1-1 pitch outside, ball 2. Here's the 2-1. That's low, ball 3. Right. I forgot to turn Firefox audio back off. Let me do that now. There we go. 3-1 the count. Here's the pitch. Swung on. That's lined it through the hole on the right-hand side. And Joe Start has got himself a single. His second hit of the afternoon. That brings up George Bird, the center fielder. He is 1 for 4 so far today with an RBI. Here's the first pitch to George Bird. That's in the dirt for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's outside, ball 2. And it is 2-0. The 2-0 pitch. Swung on, grounded back to the mound. Oh, and he's flubbed it. It's an E1. It's an error on the pitcher. It's an error on the pitcher. Joe Start will go to second. George Bird is aboard. And Bevins has committed an error. Here's George Wright. 2 for 4. That's a wild pitch. That goes back to the back screen. And Start goes to third. Bird goes to second. And there's runners, 2 runners in scoring position with just 1 out. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on. That's foul. The 1-0. That's outside. Ball 2. 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Grounded foul. Here is the 2-2. That's grounded over to the first baseman. He will take it himself for the first out, for the second out of the inning. But it is going to be an RBI. Scoring on the play will be Joe Start. Bird makes his way over to third. And now there's 2 out with a runner 90 feet away for pitcher Dick McBride. McBride's 1 for 2. He's got a single and 2 walks. First pitch from Ed Bevins, and that's a wild pitch. And Bird will score. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's lined right at the first baseman, and that will retire the side. 2 runs on 1 hit. They leave the bases empty, and we go to the top of the 8th. It is 15-2 for Rockford. Due up first for the Cleveland Forest Citys, pitcher Ed Bevins. We're not gonna take our normal break. Let's keep going. 8th inning. Let's go. McBride's up to 109 pitches. He's pitched through 7. Here's the first pitch to Ed Bevins. Swung on. That's grounded right back to. That's a base hit. Ed Bevins has got a leadoff hit to try and help his side here and himself in the top of the 8th. Good hit from Bevins. That brings up Dave Egler, who's gone 1 for 4. Here's the I'm sorry, that's Chick Fulmer who's up. And Fulmer's got himself a base hit as well. Chick Fulmer, the shortstop, that makes him 2 for 4. And Bevins goes to second, and it's back-to-back base hits to start the top of the 8th. Now up will be William Johnson. He is 1 for 3. First pitch to William Johnson. That's popped up. And the shortstop will make the out. 1 away here. Denny Mack will be next. He is 1 for 2 with a walk, a single, an RBI, and 3 stolen bases. Here's the first pitch to Mack. Grounded foul. Here's the 0-1. That's taken down low for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Lined into right field. Is it going to stay fair? It looks like it will. It's just drifted foul. The 1-2 to Denny Mack. Grounded over to shortstop. On to second for 1. They can't turn 2, but they do get the lead runner. Bevins goes to third. So it'll be runners in the corners with two outs. That brings up right fielder John Glenn, who is 1 for 3 with an RBI. Here's the first pitch to John Glenn. And that's lined right at the second fielder or the second baseman for the final out of the inning. Caffeine, is this one of these? This is, man. This is the Coles 4104B. Welcome in, Caffeine. Let me give you a shout out, brother. It's freaking great to see you, man. Ian, I'm so happy that you've come. That sounds fucking amazing. It is. I have an audio mixer. So it goes into the mixer, and I give it a smidge of compression, and I turn the gain down a smidge, because obviously it's a lip ribbon. You're not going to hear anything anyway unless I'm right up against the mic. So there's no need to run it with a very high gain. So I do that, and then I give it a smidge of compression just to air out the pops and stuff like that. Not that this doesn't automatically. And, yeah, it sounds phenomenal. I love it. It's the best purchase I've made in, like, the last 5 years. But let me give you that shout-out, man. Welcome in. I'm so happy that you're here, man. It's so awesome to see and hear from you, brother. Oh, God damn it. That is not. I added a slash by accident. I'll get you a proper one. But guys, go follow Caffeine. Um, Definitely a fun streamer. Finished a Hamburg save that he played for 2 years in Football Manager, and it was an awesome save. Um, I'll get you the other type of shout out in 60 seconds once that cools down. But yeah, I researched those once. Not cheap, but yeah, this cost me 975, somewhere around there. But it was worth it, man. This was my CS commentary mic as well. So this has taken a lot of hours. And the thing is, this thing can take a beating and still tick. That's what I love about it. Absolutely takes a beating. Right. What was that? That was the end of the inning. So it's no runs on 2 hits, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It is still 15-2 for Rockford. Due up first for the Rockford Forest Citys, third baseman Cap Anson, who is currently 3 for 5 today. Rumor has it I might be back Thursday. We'll see. I'll run down the UEL final and stuff. If I do, it all depends on how I'm feeling physically. I would do it tomorrow before a watch along, but I have a doc's appointment. That's fair. Good. I hope the doc's appointment goes really well, Ian. And good luck in the Europa League final, man. It's a big achievement to have reached it with everything going on this season. You know, I know this season's been a bit of not a bit chaotic. It's been really chaotic. So, yeah, man, good luck in the final tomorrow. I'm excited for you. So, let me give you that other proper shout out. Hold on. Like I said earlier, guys, go follow Caffeine. Great streamer.
Take your time.
Really fun. Just one of the most awesome Canadian to talk to. Don't tell Matthew. Sorry, Matthew, if you're here, brother.
How have you been?
And yeah, definitely an awesome streamer. So, by the way, Cat, it's been a massive disappointment, and a cup win doesn't heal all wounds, but it'll shut a few of the naysayers up. Hopefully, I mean, you could say that for both sides, right? So, I get it though. You know what I mean? I think the big thing isn't even just the cup win. I mean, obviously the cup win would be great. I'd love to win Europa League. It's a success on the club's history permanently, right? It's permanency to the club honors, right? But just getting into with how bad the season is or has been, to be able to turn around and say we're going to be in the Champions League next season, like that's a big achievement, you know? Right, here's the first pitch to Cap Anson. That's in the dirt for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's in the dirt, ball 2. A sense of validation for Amram, too, for him to win a trophy in his first year with the group is impressive. Yeah, with this group. Yeah. Especially this group, yeah. I think the other thing, too, is... Oh, no, that's a completely different topic that I had in the back of my head that I was going to bring up once we were done talking about Man U. Sorry. But no, I agree with you. Here's the pitch. That's fouled away. 2-1 is the count. Here's the pitch. That's down low, 3-1. Hitters count now to Cap Anson. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. It's 3-2. The full count. That's fouled. Yeah. What's the sort? Okay, so this is my very first out of the park baseball, Caffeine. I've never played this game before. This game has managed to go into the MLB records, and they have every player, every team, everything going back to the you brave motherfucker. Nice. They have everything going back all the way to the first professional baseball league that was played in the United States, which was in 1871. So I decided, let's start there. And the awesome thing is the teams are going to come and go. So, like, I'm currently Rockford Forest Citys, right? There's another team called the Troy Haymakers. The Troy Haymakers were founded in 1870. They joined the league in 1871 when the professional league was formed. They played until halfway through 1872, and that's when they went bankrupt. So after the 1872 season, the Troy Haymakers are going to no longer exist. They're going to be gone. And all these teams come and go accurately as they did in real life. The craziest thing about this, Caffeine, or Ian, is all of the players come through at the same time as well. So in 1908, 1909, you're going to see Babe Ruth appear in the save as a prospect. You're going to see Joe DiMaggio appear at some point. You're going to see Lou Gehrig appear. All those great players. Shoeless Joe Jackson will come into the league. All these players will come into the league in line with when they historically played baseball. On top of that, the stadiums are accurate. Not visually, obviously. There was no jumbotrons in 1871, well aware. But things like the height of the fences, the distance of the fences, is there a redemption story here for the Chicago Black Sox potentially? Maybe. All the things like the dimensions of the grounds are accurate. The ticket prices are adjusted to the 1871 levels. These Rockford Forest Citys that I'm managing, our ticket price is 10 cents a ticket. In my offline save, I'm managing the Troy Haymakers. The ticket price is 13 cents a ticket. And on top of that, the playoff format is accurate to the year. So, for example, 1871, teams play 32 games. And then you play the World Series. Now, the World Series didn't actually begin until 1901. But the game has to have a way of determining a champion every season. So they just make a World Series for those years. But the point being is, the next season, it'll be 60 games. And then it will eventually expand to 92. And then it will eventually expand to 105. And then it will eventually expand to 120. And so on and so forth. And all of that happens in real life, adjusted in real life as well. So I've decided what we're going to do is I'm going to manage Rockford Forest Citys, which is RC1 on the scoreboard. But we're going to commentate any day that there is a game of baseball played. We're going to pick one of the games that are played that day, and we're going to commentate them. So last night, for example, I commentated the Cleveland Forest Citys versus the Troy Haymakers. Before that was the Chicago White Stockings versus the Troy Haymakers. We've done Cleveland Forest Citys versus the Fort Wayne Kekiungas. The Boston Red Stockings versus the Fort Wayne Kekiungas. And we've done the Troy Haymakers versus the Fort Wayne Kekiungas. And we've done the Rockford Forest Citys versus the Philadelphia Athletics. The other thing with the save is, the last thing I want to say with the save is, we're actually scoring the game as we commentate it as well. So I have all those games that we've previously commentated on. I have those games scored, and I will keep them scored. And then I'm just going to keep a collection of those books.
I owe allegiance to no
Starry
entity.
Bun!
I intend to live by my own code
Coming
now.
in with the raid. What's up, Kathy? How was your stream? Let me close the tab I had you open in. Now that you've raided me, welcome in, everybody. I go eat. Absolutely, go do what you need to do. Now with this, but I have a good stream. Thank you. Just to answer Ian's question before I introduce myself. Now with this, do you have full off-field control too? Yes, you control the finances. I can set the ticket prices. I can trade players. I set the rotations. I draft the players. All of that stuff. So yes, You have full control off field as well. Welcome in streamers from Starry Bun. I am Benakage, or just Benny for short. We are a variety streamer, or I am a variety streamer. We stream Out of the Park Baseball. We stream Football Manager. We stream Hearts of Iron. We stream Rise of Nations. We stream Action Taimanen. We stream the F1 games as well. I'm trying to think of what else I've streamed over the years. We're a variety streamer, essentially. So welcome in. Don't mind Sports Scores bot. If you're a sports fan like I am, it will update you on MLB, NHL scores. I don't have NBA enabled because I do not care about basketball, but you will see Sports Score bot appear, and you will see it post updates to all the live sports games going on right now. I'm going to give a shout out to Starry Bun, and then we're going to explain what we're doing. I'm an idiot. It's not exclamation point shout out anymore. It's SO shout out now. There we go. Guys, go follow good friend of mine,
And I'll be able
Starry
to go,
Bun,
so.
aka Kathy.
Damn, huge Benji. You
Right down
really
there.
Remember Fuzz campaign. Like, this man left
Just
an
a phenomenal
impression on me.
Valorant player.
Solo queue his ass, was
Also
amazing
streams
MR
things
as well.
like TFT as well. Plays TFT. Used to play CS:GO way back in the day. Is an ex-professional Valorant player. So yeah, definitely give them a follow. Absolutely one of my best friends in life. Welcome in. So we're doing a commentary save. I'm managing the Rockford Forest Citys, which is known as RC1 on the scoreboard here on this game. We're playing Out of the Park Baseball. It is the bottom of the 8th inning. It is 15-2. We've absolutely smoked them. We've got nobody on, and this is the first batter, actually. So Ed Beaver is the pitcher, and it's a full count. Let's get to it, shall we? Here's the pitch. That is inside for ball 4. And Cap Anson is going to be aboard with a leadoff walk here in the bottom of the 8th inning. So that's 1 on, nobody out here. That brings up George Hall, our left fielder. He is currently 3 for 5 today. I'm sorry, 3 for 4. He has an RBI triple. He was also hit by the pitch in his last at bat. So here is the first pitch to George Hall, and he will take it for ball 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to the first baseman. Is he going to go to second? He is. That's the lead runner. They can't come back for 2, but they do get the lead runner. So George Hall is aboard via a fielder's choice. 3-6 on the putout. And first base will be George Hall. That brings up Ross Barnes as the next batter. He is currently sitting 3 for 4. And he needs just a home run to complete the cycle. We got 2 players who could complete the cycle today if all things go well. Ross Barnes is one of them. He needs a home run. Runner on first, 1 out here. Here's the first pitch to Ross Barnes from Ed Bevins. It is inside for a ball. By the way, if you're wondering who these teams are, it is 1871 in the game. These are historical teams, historical players, and we're playing in the very first league of professional baseball that was formed in the United States back in 1871. 9 teams, 5 in the National League where we are, 4 in the American League, and it's only a 32-game season. Here's this is game 2. We lost our first game to the Philadelphia Athletics, which was technically an interleague game. They're in the American League. We're in the National League. That one swung on and missed. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's lined into right field. That could be a base hit. It will drop. It'll drop for a base hit. Over to second will go George Hall. And Ross Barnes has got a second single of the day. His 4th hit in 5 at-bats. And that will bring up Lip Pike. He is the other man who could hit for the cycle. He needs a double to do so, and he's going to take off. That's a wild pitch. Over to third goes George Hall. Second base will be Ross Barnes. And so it's 2 runners in scoring position here. Only 1 out. Here's the first pitch. That's taken for, or here's the 1-0 pitch. That's taken for a strike. 1-1. 1-1 pitch is a wild pitch again, and coming home to score will be George Hall. He is considered safe at the plate. Third base will see Ross Barnes occupy it, and it is now 16-2 for Rockford. Lip Pike on a 2-1 count as well. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and that's outside for ball 3. It's 3-1. It's a hitter's count. It's 3-1. He needs a double for the cycle. Here's the pitch. That's inside for a ball, and it's a walk for Lip Pike. Happy Ian, man. What? You didn't have to, bro. Thank you for the subscription, man. It's crazy the amount of support you guys give me. It's absolutely crazy. It's nuts. It leaves me speechless at times, actually. It's crazy. Thank you so much for the subscription, man. Super appreciative. That's a heart, but I'm holding the mic at the same time because I have to talk into it. So there you go. But thank you so much, Ian. I appreciate it, brother. It's really good to hear from you. I'm so glad you came in tonight, actually. So I know you've been up and down physically. I hope it's been a little bit better recently. Yeah, man, thank you so much. Doug Allison, the catcher, will be the next batter. He is 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Government dog in the house? Yeah, it's based on the character Benakage, because there's like corruption in the government, and when she finds the people that's corrupt, she calls them government dogs, but then her main villain calls her a government dog in the game as well. Really weird dichotomy, if you would. Anyway, here's the pitch. Runners on the corners. That's inside for a called strike. It's 0-1. So, 0-1. Here's the pitch. That's in the dirt. 1-1. Counts even 1-1. Here's the pitch. That's inside, ball 2. By the way, gang, if it looks like I'm looking down a lot, we are scoring the game. I have a scorebook for the game, so that's why I'm looking down constantly. I'm literally looking down every pitch just to tick the next pitch for the pitch count. That's lined into right field, but drifting foul. And the count will go to 2-2 here. 2-2 the count to Doug Allison. And he's chopped that foul to stay alive. It remains 2-2. Here's the 2-2. That's lined right at the shortstop for the second out of the inning. That brings up Joe Start. He is currently 2 for 5 so far today, both singles. Here's the first pitch to Joe Start. That's grounded over, but foul on the third base side. 0-1 to count. Here's the pitch. Grounded back up to the shortstop. It's a throwing error on the shortstop. It's a drop throw from the shortstop. It's actually going to be an E4. So the error is accredited to William Johnson, the second baseman, on the drop throw. Scoring on the play will be Ross Barnes. And Limp Pike goes to second base on the play. And it is now 17-2. And that brings up George Bird, the center fielder. He is currently batting 1 for 5 with an RBI. Chance to give some relief to his pitcher, Ed Bevins, but he hasn't been able to. Here's the pitch. That's lined into center field. Is that going to be a base hit? It's over the center fielder's head. It is a base hit. It's going to be extra bases as well. George Bird going for third. He's going to get there. And he slides in with a triple. George Bird has delivered a 2 RBI triple. Stark scores. Pike scores. And it's 19-2 now for Rockford. That brings up George Wright. He is 2 for 5 with an RBI so far today. No relief yet for Ed Beavens. Here comes the first pitch. He's lined that in the left field. That's a base hit. Another really huge inning for Rockford, and an RBI single for, RBI double for George Wright. And it is 20-2. So here's the first pitch. This is now going to be pitcher Dick McBride, who he is 1 for 3 with a pair of walks. Here's the first pitch to Dick McBride. Lined right. Oh, it's through. Base hit. It's through. It's a base hit for Dick McBride. And he's aboard, and that's going to do it. They're going to call in a trip to the mound. They're going to bring in the next pitcher, lasting 1 2/3 innings, was Ed Beavens. He's finished with a pitch count of just 44. He's surrendered 5 hits, and that's going to bring in George Hubel as the next pitcher. I just got to add him now to the scorebook. There we go. Ed Beavens went out in the 8th. Hubel is in the 8th for 11. There we go. Okay. That brings up Cap Anson. We're back at the top of the order. Cap Anson himself is 3 for 5 with 3 singles and a walk. Here's the first pitch from Hubel. That's a wild pitch. The first pitch from Hubel is a wild pitch. Safe at the plate is George Wright. McBride's going to go to second, and it's 21-2. We've opened up a huge 6-run bottom of the 8th inning so far. A 1-0 pitch now. Swung on and missed. It is 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's grounded over towards the shortstop. Oh, he's made a fielding error. The shortstop's made a fielding error. That's E6 on the fielding error. And 6 is the shortstop. That's Chick Fulmer who makes the error. The 4th error for Cleveland in this game. Over the third goes Dick McBride, and it's now runners on the corners and 2 outs. That will bring up George Hall, grounded into a fielder's choice earlier in the inning. Here's the pitch. That's lined into center field deep. Going back on it is this right fielder, and it's off the wall. It could be a triple. He's going to third. Is he going to get there? He slides in and he's safe, and it is indeed a triple. It is a 2 RBI triple for George Hall. Scoring on the play is McBride. Scoring on the play from first base is Anson. And just like that, it is 23-2 for Rockford. It's an 8-run bottom of the 8th inning. Here's the first pitch now to Ross Barnes. That's a called strike. 0-1. They need to get out of this inning. I mean, the game's over. 1-1 is the count. Here's the 1-1. That's down low. 2-1. 2-1 pitch. Outside. It's a wild pitch, and scoring on the play is George Hall, and it's 24-2. That's lined into right field. That could be a base hit. That's going to be a base hit. The pain is going to continue for Cleveland right now. It's another triple in the inning as Barnes makes his way to third base. It's his second triple of the afternoon. And that brings up Lip Pike, who was a double away from hitting for the cycle. He grounds this over to the second baseman onto first, and that retires the side. It is 9 runs on 6 hits, and they leave 1 aboard. We go to the top of the 9th inning. It is 24-2 for Rockford City. I'm sorry, for Rockford Forest Citys. Due up first for the Cleveland Forest Citys will be third baseman Francis Abercrombie. He is currently 0 for 3 so far in this game. The patience dead, call it off. I got blown out in my first game, so it feels good to blow a team out. I lost the first game. What was it, 17-4 or something like that? 17-4, I lost the first game. So some of the games have been close. The second game we commentated 16-3. Then we had a 21-6 that Fort Wayne beat Boston on. Then we got the 2 walk-offs. We had a walk-off. Fort Wayne walked off Cleveland 7-6. And then Troy were leading 4-3, right? They were leading 4-2. Chicago put up 1 in the top of the 8th to make it 4-3. Then Chicago put up 2 in the top of the 9th to lead 5-4. And Troy walked it off 6-5. And then last night we had Cleveland beating Troy 16-3. Or 16-13. That was a really interesting game. Troy in that game, by the way, made, 13 errors? Troy made 13 errors, 8 of which were on their shortstop. It was just crazy. All right, top 9th, Francis Abercrombie. Here's the first pitch to him. That's outside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. On the outside corner for a strike, it's 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's grounded over to the shortstop. On to first in time for the first out of the inning. 6-3 on the put. And that brings up center fielder Dave Egler, who is 2 for 4 with 2 singles. McBride on his 121st pitch. And that's check swing, but he didn't go when it's 1-0. That's the other thing you'll notice about baseball back in the 1800s. If you remember, back then, technically, you threw it underhand still. You didn't actually overhand pitch it until the 1900s, the first decade of the 1900s. So pitchers that had the stamina could throw 200-300 pitches in a game. So here's the pitch, the 1-0. That's a ball, 2-0. And that's actually reflected here. I've had pitchers who look at his stamina rating. He's still in the green, and he's already thrown 122 pitches. I've had pitchers just dip into the yellow on like 210 pitches. Here's the 2-0. That's low, 3-0. The 3-0 pitch. It's in there for a strike. Taking all the way is Dave Egler, and it's 3-1. Hitters count 3-1. Here's the pitch. That's down low for a ball, and Egler gets aboard on 5 pitches. So Cleveland, the comeback is unlikely, but they do have a base runner here in the top of the 9th. That brings up Fred Cohn. He is 0 for 4 so far today. He's ground out once, popped out twice, lined out once. Here's the first pitch. Back over to first, and he's back in time. It is a called strike, though, across the plate. Here's the 0-1. That's popped up right in front of the home plate. And making the play. Oh, why did I rate it? I wrote this inning in extra and not in 9th like an idiot. 6-3 for Abercrombie, and then a walk to first, and then this is a P2. So making the play is Doug Allison, and there's 2 down here in the top of the 9th. That brings up Deacon White. Deacon White, he is 0 for 3 so far. They struck out struck out swinging in his last at bat. Here's the pitch. That's in there for a called strike. It's 0-1. The 0-1 pitch on the inside corner, strike 2. And now it's 0-2 to Deacon White. Here's the pitch. That's inside for a ball. 1-2. The 1-2 pitch. Swung on. That's lined foul down the right field line. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Popped up right at the plate. And Allison makes the play. And the ball game is over. No runs on no hits, and they leave one left. That is the end of the ball game. The final score here, the Cleveland Forest Citys 2, the Rockford Forest Citys 24. A blowout game here. Now we're going to come to everybody's favorite part, and that's the actual final stats. Mine are a little bit different than these guys, but not terribly too different. I need the game's help with the pitching. Pitch count for Hubel finished at 10. Right. He gave up, I think he gave up, what, 2 hits? Yeah, 2 hits. So, pitching for Cleveland Forest Citys. Al Spalding gets the loss. He'll move to 1-3 on the season. 2 1/3 innings, he gave up 11 hits. He finished with 109 pitch count, 10 runs, by the way. Of those runs, 9 of them were earned. He walked 2. He struck out 1. He didn't strike out any. Sorry, he didn't strike out any. Frank Selman was the big pitcher. He went 3 2/3 innings. His pitch count finished at 97. He gave up 6 hits, 3 runs. All 3 of them were earned, and he walked 2. Didn't strike out anybody. Ed Beaver then went 1 2/3. Ed Beavens went 1 2/3 innings. He finished with a pitch count of 44. He gave up 5 hits. 9 runs were scored on Beavens. Only 1 of the runs was earned. That tells you a lot right there. He also walked 2, didn't record a strikeout, and then George Hubel came in and just finished it off. He pitched 1/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits. He had 10 pitches, and he didn't walk or strike out anybody. And the 2 runs that he did give up, neither of them were earned. Over on the pitching side for the Rockford Forest Citys, it was a complete game for Dick McBride. He pitched all 9 innings. He gave up 10 hits. In the end, 2 runs, both of them were earned. I think he walked 2. He walked 3. He struck out 1. He finished with 132 pitches. Right. Let's do the batters real quick. Let's look at the scorecard. This is going to be a hell of a scorecard here. This is going to be a hell of a scorecard. Right. Cleveland, Dave Egler. He finished with 4 at-bats. He finished with 2 hits. He also had a base on balls. That's all he had. Fred Cohn, the left fielder, he had 5 at-bats and did not record a single hit. Deacon White, the catcher, he had 4 at-bats. He did not record a hit either. He struck out once and he had a base on balls. Al Spalding, the pitcher, who batted in the 4th spot originally, he finished with 2 at-bats. He had 1 hit. Chick Fulmer, the shortstop, he had 4 at-bats. He had 2 hits. One of them was a double, and he scored a run. Also had an error. William Johnson, second baseman, he finished with 4 at-bats. He got a single hit. He also recorded an error. Denny Mack, the first baseman, he had 4. He had 3 at-bats. He had 1 hit, which scored 1 RBI. He also had a base on balls. He had a fielding error, and he had 3 stolen bases, actually, as well. John Glenn, the right fielder, he had 4 at-bats. He had 1 hit. He scored an RBI. And then, Denny Mack, by the way, going back real quick. Denny Mack scored a run as well. I forgot to mention that. Francis Abercrombie, the third baseman, he had 4 at-bats. He did not score a single hit. And then Frank Selman, he had 1 at-bat. He recorded a hit, and it was a double. Ed Beavens had 1 at-bat. He scored a hit in that at-bat, and he had a fielding error. George Hubel did not record an at-bat. Right, total at-bats for the Cleveland Forest Citys, 4, 9, 13, 15, 19, 23, 26, 30, 34, 36 at-bats for them. They scored 2 runs in the process. How many hits? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hits. Of those hits, they had 2 doubles, no triples, no home runs. They made 1, 2, 3, 4 fielding errors. They had how many base on balls? 1, 2, 3 walks. They struck out once. They stole 3 bases. And how many runs batted in? 2. And that's the total stats for Cleveland. Let me swap over to the blue pen for the Rockford Forest Citys, and then we will set the scene for Thursday's stream, and we'll get out of here. Right. This one's going to take a little longer because obviously we had a shit ton of at-bats. Cap Anson, the first baseman, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 at-bats. 1, 2, 3, 3 hits. He scored 3 runs on those hits. He also recorded a walk. George Hall, the left fielder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at-bats. Is that correct? Yes, 7 at-bats for George Hall. How many? He scored. How many hits were in those at-bats? 2 hits were in those at-bats. Both of them were triples. He scored 4 runs. He had 1 RBI. Actually, I beg your pardon. It's only 6 at-bats because one of them was a hit by the pitch. He got hit by the pitch in the 6th inning. So apologies for that. He's 2 for 6 then. Ross Barnes, the second baseman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 at-bats. He recorded 1, 2, 3 runs. Of those at-bats, he had 4 hits. He had 1 double. He had 2 triples. He had 1 base on balls. He walked in the first inning. And he recorded 4 RBIs. Lip Pike, the right fielder. 1, 2. I'm sorry. What? Can I please get that a little bit clearer? Right there. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He had 6 at-bats. The Lip Pike. 1, 2, 3. He had 3 hits in those at-bats. He scored 3 runs. Of those hits, he had 1 triple. He had a 1 home run. He also had a base on balls. He also had 2 RBIs as well. Doug Allison, the catcher, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had 6 at-bats. Of those at-bats, he had 2 hits. He scored 1 run. Both of those hits were singles. And he had 2 RBIs as well. Joe Start, the first baseman, he had 6 at-bats. He had 2 hits in those at-bats. He scored 2 runs. And that's it. He didn't have any other RBIs or anything like that. Joe Bird, the center fielder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at-bats himself. He had 2 hits, one of which was a triple. He scored 2 runs, and he had 3 RBIs as well. George Wright, the shortstop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at-bats himself. 1 hit, 2 hits. He had 2 hits. He scored 2 runs. And he also had 2 RBIs. One of those hits was a double, and he recorded a fielding error. And then finally, Dick McBride, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at-bats. No, 4 at-bats. Only 4 at-bats. He recorded 2 hits. They were both singles. He scored 2 runs. He drew 2 walks. The final total for the Rockford, back shortly, Lurk. All right, appreciate it. The final total for the Rockford Forest Citys, at-bats, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 52 at-bats. How many runs scored? 7, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Hold on. Did I not count them correctly? I'm sorry. George Hall had 5 runs, not 4. He had 5 runs, and Ross Barnes had 4 runs. That's what I didn't record. So that brings the total to 24 runs on 3, 5, 9, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22 hits. I think they have 24 for 24. They do. So who am I missing? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13, 17, 19, 20. I'm missing 2. Who am I missing? I have 2 hits for him. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Ross Barnes had 5 hits. Ross Barnes went 5 for 6. And then Lip Pike, 1, 2, 1, 2. 3 there. 1, 2, 2 there. That's right. And you have 1, 2 there. And you had 1, 2 there. And you had 1, 2 there. Nope, you had 3. Sorry, George Wright had 3 hits. He went 3 for 6. That's a little correction there as well. Okay, so now that brings me to 24 hits. Sorry. Doubles. 1. Doubles. 1 double here. 2 doubles for the team. Triples. 6 triples and a home run. We also drew 5 walks. No strikeouts, no stolen bases. RBIs 1, 5, 7, 9, 12, 15 RBIs. We also had just the 1 error as well. Okay. So there you have it. Dick McBride gets the win. I have to mark him as the winning pitcher. There we go. Awesome. 24-2. We actually moved to 1-1 on the season. That brings us to 1-1 on the season. So, oh my God, look at all of these achievements we've just unlocked. Right. Save the game. Immediately save the game. Mail-in news, 5-hit game for Barnes. Yeah, the box score is kind of nuts. Out-of-town scoreboard, the Chicago White Stockings managed to beat the Philadelphia Athletics off the back of a huge 5-run 8th inning that gave them a 8-2 lead at the time. Philadelphia Athletics could only respond with 1 at the top of the 9th. And so Chicago White Stockings go on and win by a score of 8-3. So, let's finish today. The next day, nobody plays. And we've got ourselves a game. We actually have 3 straight days with a game. So, tomorrow night was... I've got notifications up the wazoo on freaking Discord, apparently. Anyway. Right, so there you have it. The final box score is Cleveland Forest Citys 2-10-4, 2 runs, 10 hits, 4 errors. Rockford Forest Citys 24 runs, 24 hits, 1 error. Tomorrow's we had no game on the 29th, so we actually ourselves have to manage 3 straight games. So I'm going to write it in now, but we will be commentating this game on Thursday, and it will be the Rockford Forest Citys against the Boston Red Stockings. For those on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you for this next one. 2-2 Boston hosting us, who are now 1-1. Until the next game, take care.